So, quick countdown, 3, 2, 1. So, hello everybody, welcome back to the next chapter in my little channel. Story of my life, living with a fairly irritating physical disability and the ensuing mental health conditions that goes with it, because it's part psychiatric, and also how this somehow ties in loosely with my love of surfing. This is all really unscripted and improvised. I have a rough idea what I'm going to talk about, but I'm a little bit lazy about making these videos, to be quite honest, and I prefer just to wing it. I think there's also a positive aspect to doing this. It's not just because I can't be bothered. I think it's quite important when you're talking about people who are struggling with their mental health, with the physical health, with a disability, that you get a very authentic, unedited view of what that person is like, you know, what their life is like, what they look like, what they sound like. We need to get comfortable with this. I don't want to be heavily editing it. I don't want to be changing the audio and making myself look better, improving the colour or the lighting or anything. Because I think we are still in a position in our society, which is, I would say, like loosely Western society, where we have certain biases, not particularly insidious, unhealthy biases, but they're there a little bit. And we try and see through a soft lens when we look at people with disabilities. And we quite often don't see them as people. We either see them as objects to be derided or to be patronised, subjects of condescension, that sort of thing. And I think we need to remember that every person with a disability, whether it's minor, severe, physical, mental, both, whatever, is still first and foremost a human being, which means they have the same wants and desires as the rest of us. They still have their favourite foods, they still have their activities they like to do, they don't like. They can be good, they can be bad, they can be honest, they can be dishonest, and I've been all of those. They can be inspiring, they can be dull. I know I can be boring sometimes. I might be boring the shit out of you right now, to be honest, I don't know. But yeah, so that's kind of the format. Just a quick reminder for you all why I do it the way I do it. I'm sorry that I'm like a week late, I think, with this video. The last week was quite busy in a nice way. I've been doing a lot of surfing. By the way, the background swaying around is putting you off. It's because I've got the camera on tracking on like a gimbal. Makes it a lot easier for me with the movement problems, because as you can see, I'm sort of sat sideways so that I can look at you without ripping the muscles in my neck with effort. So, sorry, back on topic. Yeah, so I'm in Portugal right now. You've seen a couple of the shorts I've uploaded probably of the surfing camp where I am on my own. There's no other surfers here. There's been one or two passing through. But I always book like a good few weeks. I'll be spending a week or two working from abroad, which I have permission to do from my employer. Thank you very much. PXC Communications. I'm grateful for that. It's nice to see a big corporate entity looking after its people in that way without issue. Yeah, so I'm in Portugal. I'm in the city of Gaia, which is just south of Porto. It's basically just south of the Douro River. If you look on the map, it looks like Porto is a city that encompasses the entirety of the river. It's not actually. It's the north part of the estuary. That's Porto. Really beautiful city. I'm going to do a walking video around there at some point. The weather up to now has not been ideal for walking videos, and you may notice that I've done 2 beach walks and the audio was terrible. Partly because I hadn't figured out how to get it all set up correctly, but also partly because it was just really windy and it was blowing like crazy into the mic. So I'm just going to find a day when the wind has subsided. On the subject of wind, I've been a bit of an odd job, Bob today, because we have what do you call them? Like umbrellas for the sun. I can't think of the name of them now. having a bit of a moment. But we have umbrellas outside the little chalets to shelter from the sun. You can hang your wetsuit up there to dry out without getting the UV rays on it. Because ultraviolet light damages the neoprene over time. But it's been so windy and my umbrella's been knocked over so many times. It's just in pieces today. All the spars ripped off. The central connecting junction was just in a wreck. So I started taking a look at it, and it ended up with me and Susanna, who runs this place, ripping out the toolboxes, disassembling the whole thing and putting it all back together. So I've earned my keep today, and she gave me a really nice beef casserole sandwich as payment, which I thought was quite sweet. So it was good fun. We may get a visitor. It's a bit late now. I think he's probably gone to bed. But there's a couple of dogs who live here, Ollie and Nana, and I hope I'll get to introduce to them at some point because they're both very funny and very sweet, and a pair of little shits as well, because Ollie knows how to get into my chalet. He knows how to open the door, so I have to lock it if I don't want his company. And they've got a bit of a protection racket going. I've nicknamed them the Cheese Mafia because they'll come in here. Usually they intercept me at the gate. And then they've worked out a system where Ollie will always make sure he's between me and the front door, which I'm pointing to, it's over there. And I'll just turn it around. Oh, there we go, sorry. Yeah, the front door behind me there. So that's the other part of my chalet, little kitchenette. And that fridge is where Ollie and Nana will park themselves, and they'll just sit there next to each other, glaring up at me, waiting for me to whip out the cheese, because nothing makes them happier than a little bit of cheese. So maybe we'll get that on camera, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so there were things I wanted to talk about, and how do I segue onto that? So yeah, surfing. I've had some good sessions, I've had some ropey sessions. Surfers usually tend to say it's just generally accepted that you'll spend about 90% of your time doing anything but surfing, and about 10% of your time actually catching a wave. And I think that's actually fairly accurate. It's sort of just accepted wisdom. But interestingly, I read something recently, and a lot of you may have heard of this, but it's called Price's Law. I'll see if I can find a link to the article. It was a Substack article. And Price's Law stipulates that the square root of the number of inputs into a system will generate 50% of the output. So if you take that in the context of a working environment, because that's pretty easy to get your head around, if you have a company of 100 employees, then the square root of 100 being 10 of the employees of that company will do 50% of the work. So I think that's one of those little numbers that gets bandied around quite a lot, and it's generally just regarded as anecdotal. But what the author of the article discovered was that when he dived deeper into this subject and this Price's Law, he found actually it's pretty cast iron, it's pretty solid and very consistent, and it doesn't just relate to the workplace, it's everywhere around us. It's a little bit like the golden ratio in art, it's like it found everywhere in nature, like the size of leaves and all that kind of thing. But Price's Law is the same sort of thing, and everywhere he looked he found examples, and apparently there have been hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of studies done of Price's Law, and it's just everywhere in the universe. The distribution of galaxies, like the source of water for rivers from the tributaries, etc., etc., etc. Survival patterns of certain species, or of every species maybe. So it's an interesting notion that for whatever it is you're doing, if you're like learning something, like in my case surfing, then if we were to really go into it in detail and break down the numbers and find a way of studying this mathematically, it would be the case that 10% of the time we actually get some surfing done, or 10% of our effort is rewarded with surfing. 90% of the time is kind of wasted, really. Or 10% of the time would give us half of our surfing, should we put it that way? And the other 90% gives us half, but you know, it's a very inefficient way of getting that half. So the author, who has like a Substack account, and I think he's trying to grow his account and make this his profession, was trying to sort of go through all of his activities relating to creating his Substack account and trying to trim out all the fat, basically, and be as efficient as possible, so he could like sort of get away from this square root paradigm. So I thought from that we could tie this in with what I call the 1% rule, and this is anecdotal, really, to be honest, but there's logic to it. And I think I read an interview with like an Olympic coach or something a long time ago, and he was talking about, you know, the athletes who get right to the very, very top, get the gold medals and the silver medals and the championships and so on and so forth. And he talks about this rule of 1%, and it's really simple. Let's take your typical Olympic athlete who's very, very good at what they do, and they qualified and they're going for gold. And the 1% rule basically is like this. If you get all the rest you're meant to get, to the point where your partner does all the shopping and runs errands and stuff, and you just keep very still and get lots and lots of rest, as much as you reasonably can, that's 1%. You stick exactly to your diet, right down to the last calorie and the exact gram of calculated fat and so on and so forth, protein, etc. That's another 1%. What else was there? Let's just think sort of things. You do your technique exactly as stipulated when you're training and you don't waste a second. That's another 1%. And you add up all these little 1%, and all of a sudden you're giving yourself a margin. And that's your gold medal. That's how you make progress. So it applies in surfing, I think. We do spend quite a lot of time being inefficient. And I think if I was in the water and I spent more time being very careful to position myself exactly right, because positioning in surfing is a big deal. You can miss every wave just because you're just not quite sat within, and it can be down to like a meter. You can be sat in the ocean and you can be a meter out, and it will make all the difference. You won't catch your waves. So if I pay very studious attention to that, maybe that's 1%. If I stay closer to my instructor and pay more, and just basically have better situational awareness, so that I know where he is all the time, because he's always where the right point is. So if I stick by him, that's another 1%, because I'll be missing fewer waves. If I maintain that situational awareness in other areas, so I look for the channel which takes me back out to wherever I need to be to catch the waves, rather than just battling through the waves, which is a weird kind of laziness, because I'm so lazy that I'm making it harder for myself. And lots of amateur surfers do this. There's another 1%. Let's see. If I maintain my fitness in between surfing seasons or sessions, like that's 1%, and that's something I do. I'm pretty good with that, because it means that I'm not wasting time spending a week building up my conditioning in the sea. Because you do a lot of paddling and surfing, like a lot, and if you're not used to it, it's hard work. And I have the double bind of having to sort of line my board on my back. Oh, it's like that, because you want to look forward, but I need to be able to look forward, and my head doesn't want to do that, and I'm kind of looking at the side of my eye, so it's tiring and it's hard, and I'm usually quite sore by the time I get out, even though I find it therapeutic when I'm actually surfing for some reason. So there's another 1%. So there's multiple examples just from one particular discipline. And maybe the question we should ask ourselves is like, how do we apply this 1% rule to whatever it is that we've got on our mind at the moment? So let's bring us around to like mental health now, or getting around with a disability. Let's tie those two together and deal with them. If you are, let's take it in the context of my physical disability, my dystonia. If I do all of my physio exercises on time every day as scheduled, there's 1%. I don't do that, so I need to. If I do my breathing exercises every day, which are good, they do help, that's another 1%. If I do all of my hypnotherapy exercises every day, which I definitely don't do, I am lazy about, it's not acceptable, I know. I'm not going to make excuses for myself. I'm not going to say, but it's really, it's like, no, you either do it or you don't. So that's another 1%. What other 1% can I think of? Taking my medication exactly as scheduled, 1%. Now I can't do that at the moment because either my GP or my pharmacist have not given me enough medication for the duration of the holidays, because that happens every single time. And I thought I got it right this time. I'm going to have to literally count every frigging tablet every time I come out, because they always get it wrong no matter what I say to them. So checking your medication, taking it at the right time, the right amount, with the right, with or without food, exactly according to the instructions. There's 1%. So, what about mental health? There's a lady scientist. She's great. She's really interesting. I'll find her link on YouTube and post it. I think she's got like hundreds of thousands of followers, so I don't think she needs my help, but I'll do it anyway, just out of courtesy. And she's pointed out a few interesting things in this field. And they basically resolve around the power of positive thinking. So she explains that other people have discovered and confirmed many, many times over that positive thinking is far more powerful than we actually think. And that corresponds and correlates with things that I've read as well. Some books that I recommended in the past. I think it was The Brain's Ability to Heal, something like that. I'll find the link for that and post it again, because it's a really good read on this subject. The Brain That Heals Itself, that's the one. The Brain That Heals Itself. And it's by an author called Norman Doidge. I think I've pronounced that correctly. The brain has neuroplasticity built into it, which is basically its capacity to rewire itself. And there are lots and lots of examples where this has been done. But you have to train it. So, positive affirmations work if they're done correctly. Apparently, it has been scientifically proven in repeated studies that if you preface a positive affirmation with the statement, "I love the fact that," that actually makes a difference. So every day, if I say, "I love the fact that my muscle spasms are a little bit weaker every day," then hopefully over time, my muscle spasms will get a little bit weaker and a little bit weaker. And I might change it up a little bit and say, "I love the fact that my dystonia symptoms are not as strong every day." And you can apply it to any aspect of your life. We all get caught in loops of negative thinking. Think about work. A lot of people really, really would love to retire and not work again. I don't think many people out there love their jobs. But you can probably train your mind to find your job acceptable and tolerable to the point where it doesn't fill you with depression at the thought of going in there or anything. I'm not talking about myself at the moment, by the way. But what if it, just saying 5 times a day when you've got a bit of privacy, I love the fact that I get the opportunity to do this job and I'm comfortable with it, whatever. Phrase it in a way that suits you. What if you do that for a month and you find that all of a sudden work doesn't seem quite so bad? That's not a bad deal, really, is it? Maybe it takes 3 months, maybe it takes 6. But what if even if it takes a year? You know, you might have another 15 years of working life left. Do you want to spend another 15 years hating every day that you work? Or would you want to spend 15 years being okay with it? Or perhaps even loving it? Finding a renewed enthusiasm for what you do. That's a pretty sweet deal, you know? It's like a free brain programming. And apparently also just saying I am calm and relaxed. Who knew? I'm saying it over and over, and probably in certain places, don't say it at the middle of a funeral or anything like that, but quietly to yourself when you've got some free time, when nobody's around. It can be your private thing. You don't have to share it with anyone. But you know, while you're pottering around the house, doing the cleaning or whatever, or just lying on your bed, gazing at the walls, you know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can do that. And I'm doing it quite frequently now, so I'm going to feed back to you on that, and we'll see what happens. I've been doing it for a few weeks. I won't say I've noticed any massive changes yet, but I have had a few moments where I felt a lot better and a lot straighter. Now, I'm not having that moment today, but again, I've got this problem with my medication. I've had to halve my dosage of clonazepam this week, which is not good, because clonazepam is a really, really powerful drug. It's a member of the benzodiazepine family, and it's not the sort of drug where you just want to randomly halve your dosage. It comes with potentially lethal withdrawal side effects. So I could be on a slab in a morgue right now. So yeah, thanks, pharmacy or doctor, whoever got it wrong. Fortunately, I always kept myself very fit, as any of the guys who know me will attest. I've always been like way above average for whatever age I've been at, apart from perhaps when I was 20. And even then. So I've always worked out, I've always kept in shape, even at 50, with a little bit of, getting a little bit of fat around the sides and the waist. It's hard to keep that off. But I can still, I can still shift. And I've still got good body strength. I can do pull-ups and press-ups and so on and so forth. And I'm not saying this to show off. I'm saying this with gratitude that I had the sense to do that. Because I think it's helping me with the fact that I've had this problem with my medication. And the thought of having dystonia and being really out of shape, and being 2 stone overweight, that just fills me with absolute horror and dread. And I feel sorry for anybody who's in that position. You really have my sympathy. It must be so difficult to fight that condition while not being in good physical condition. I'm very, very grateful to myself for doing that. I was a little bit breathless, wasn't it? 23 minutes. Might make this a short video, I'm not sure. So we've talked about positive affirmations. We've talked about price is low, where the square root of your inputs will do 50% of your outputs. How we might improve that number using the rule of 1%, which I think is a really good idea because it's so simple, and you'll probably find all sorts of interesting and innovative ways to find 1% improvements in your lifestyle. We've talked about dogs stealing cheese from my fridge. We've talked about umbrella repair, for which I was rewarded with a very delicious Portuguese beef stew sandwich. So thank you, Susanna, my love. She's awesome. I've been going to this place. I've been using this particular chalet for 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 years. Yeah, and it's always this one that I want. And also bloody implements in the kitchen of mine because it was a bit sparse when I got here, and I paid for all those myself. So I've made it a bit of a home from home, and I don't think it gets used a lot that much these days anyway. Because when I come back, I just recognise things that haven't moved in 3 months. So yeah, it's like a free home from home. So the timeshare without any of the inconveniences. So I think I'm going to sign off because, to be honest, I don't have a lot else to say. I've kind of blurted out a lot of stuff like I usually do. But I like what I blurted. We've had a good blurt today. It's been very blurtful. I hope some of this was of use to you, my 15 people or so who watch these videos. Guys, I'm going to kind of implore you a little bit. If you do watch this, do share these. I know they're a bit rough around the edges. I know I can be a little bit hard to understand. But I do think there are people out there who watch this and kind of relate to the insanity of my life and what it's like to be trapped in this situation where you have a disability and your mind's all over the place. And one thing I don't think I've really mentioned much is that it's hard for me to think and talk at the same time these days because it's like I'm having to use a portion of my brain just to keep upright. And it's exhausting because the neck muscles are pulling my neck around so hard, it's kind of stretching my larynx and my vocal cords, so my voice feels really strained, and it probably sounds a bit strained as well. So I'm doing the best I can, guys. I really am. I promise you. So please, if you could return, if you show some gratitude just by sharing this with other people. I think there are people out there who just would benefit from knowing that they're not on their own. You know, it's easy to think that you're the only person in the world suffering, and then you can walk along and see somebody else and go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not on my own. Things could be worse. And I do that as well. I remind myself I'm not the worst off person in the world. In many ways, I'm very, very fortunate. But sometimes this, gets on top of you. I get tired, I get depressed. Today, I've struggled to kind of maintain any kind of positive mindset. And I'm glad I've done this video now. Things picked up once I fixed that parasol, that's the name. Yeah, once I fixed that, I've done something productive and I got my little beef stew sandwich as a reward. I felt a lot better. And then I'd spend an hour fixing the software and the gimbal that I'm using now because it wouldn't track and it wouldn't pick up the audio and all sorts of stuff. But I worked out what to do. So it's been a day of solving problems. So yeah, it's been a really good day. It's like started off really quite mediocre and poor, if anything. I've done very little. Then towards the end of the day, it's kind of ramped up. So tonight I'll just prowl the streets of Porto and fight crime or something while I'm on a roll. I don't know. Yeah. If you think I have a good superhero name, put it in the comments. Yeah, okay. Right, I'm gonna wrap up now. I think that's long enough. It's heading into half an hour, and I'm not that interesting. So yeah, thank you very much for being here. Please take on board what I've said if you can. If you want to comment, please feel free to do so. If you want me to clarify anything, please feel free to, put a comment in the comment section. I'll try and get back to you. Other than that, the next video hopefully will be a walk from the Cavadello Nature Reserve, or it'll be a street walk. It depends on the weather, conditions, etc., etc. All right. So that's me signing off, thanking you for watching, bidding you adieu. And remember, guys, these are the good days.